To configure basic TCP/IP settings, open the control panel, and open Network Connections. By default, Windows XP will configure the connection to use TCP/IP. To edit TCP/IP settings, right-click the local area connection and open its properties. Select the Internet Protocol TCP/IP. Now, click on the Properties button. By default, TCP/IP is configured to receive both the IP address and the DNS server address from a DHCP server. Let's change that to static configuration. First, we must check to use the following IP address option. Then, we will enter 192.168.1.70 as our IP address. The subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0, and the default gateway will be 192.168.1.1. In order for the default gateway to be valid, it needs to be on the same subnet as the IP address. In this example, notice that the IP address and the default gateway are both on the network 192.168.1.0. DNS server will be the same as our default gateway. We can manually enter DNS server, while the IP address can still be assigned automatically. Also notice that we can't get DNS server address automatically if we are using static IP address. DNS servers don't need to be on the same subnet as the IP address, but they do need to be accessible through the default gateway. Windows XP includes a new feature that lets us configure an alternate IP address for connection. This alternate address is used when the computer cannot contact a DHCP server for its address. We can use the alternate IP address for computers that connect to networks without a DHCP server, or to configure a backup IP address in case the DHCP server goes down. To edit alternate settings for TCP/IP, click on the Alternate Configuration tab in Internet Protocol Properties. By default, our computer is configured to use automatic private IP addressing. Let's imagine that our computer will connect to two different networks, one with DHCP, and one without DHCP server. If the computer cannot find DHCP, it will self-configure itself using an automatic private IP addressing scheme API-PA. The default network address for API-PA is 169.254.0.0. Sometimes API-PA is not desirable, because we may be using some services that require that we use static or predefined IP address. To avoid API-PA, we can set alternate configuration for TCP/IP. First, we have to select User Configured option. In this case, for alternate configuration we will set 172.16.0.10 as IP address, 255.255.0.0 as subnet mask, 172.16.0.1 as our default gateway. Preferred DNS server will be the same as our default gateway. Now, when the computer boots and cannot contact a DHCP server, it will use the manually configured alternate address.